The burning sensation felt like a fire burning inside my body. I lay in bed, and I kept hearing the voices of strangers. He's been burning up for 3 days now. If this continues, shut up. A deep male voice rang out, filled with suppressed anxiety. My son will definitely wake up. I tried to open my eyes, but my eyelids felt incredibly heavy. The next moment, a massive flood of memories suddenly rushed into my mind. Modern cities, skyscrapers, mobile phones and computers, university classrooms, and the traditional Chinese medicine knowledge that I was once so familiar with. I am Jiang Chuan, a college student majoring in traditional Chinese medicine. One second I was in my dorm room organizing ancient books and studying the meridians and acupoints of the human body. The next second, I turned into a child lying on a strange bed. Those unfamiliar memories also surfaced. This is not Earth. This is the continent of Valen, a world where magic and martial arts coexist. Here, some can manipulate the elements, some can cleave boulders with their swords, and some can ride powerful magical beasts and soar through the sky. And now, my name is Jiang Chuan. The only difference is that his age has changed to 7. Woke up. A surprised voice rang out. I slowly opened my eyes. What came into view was an unfamiliar face, yet one that looked weathered and worn. The man was about 30 years old, tall with broad shoulders, and had a noticeable sword scar on his face. He looked at me, his eyes filled with excitement. Jiang Chuan, can you hear your father? I opened my mouth, my voice hoarse. Father. The man's eyes instantly reddened after uttering just 2 words. Well, it's good that you're awake. He held my hand tightly. As I looked at him, memories belonging to this body surfaced in my mind. Father, Ray. He was once just an ordinary civilian. In his youth, he ventured into ancient ruins in search of an opportunity, and unexpectedly obtained a powerful lightning sword technique. Later, during a war, he risked his life to save a noble viscount. He was knighted for his merits. The mother was the youngest daughter of Viscount Valen. The two met during the war and eventually got together. In this world, I have a fairly decent identity. However, this identity does not guarantee safety. In the continent of Valen, strength is everything. An ordinary person may remain at the bottom of society for their entire life. Only by becoming a martial artist or a mage can one truly change their destiny. I rested for a few days, and my body gradually recovered. But one thought kept lingering in my mind. System. Standard equipment for time travelers. From the moment I regained consciousness, I looked forward to hearing that familiar voice in my mind every day. Bite. Host binding successful. Pity. No. A day has passed. No. 10 days have passed. Still nothing. I even secretly tried various methods from novels. Meditation. Shouting. Sensing changes in the body. Nothing happened. In the end, I had to accept one fact. This world has no system. If you want to become stronger, you can only rely on yourself. On the afternoon of my first day after recovery, Ray took me to the family training ground. He handed me a wooden sword. Jiang Chuan, from today onwards, you will learn swordsmanship from me. I gripped the wooden sword and looked at the man in front of me. Father, can I also become a powerful knight? Ray paused for a moment. He then spoke seriously. Nothing is impossible if you are willing to endure hardship. But remember, power is not for you to bully others. A true strong person is one who stands up to protect others when they need it. I've remembered that sentence for a long time. Only after the training began did I truly realize the uniqueness of this world's cultivation system. Martial arts practitioners are not simply those who train their bodies. They need to practice breathing techniques to guide the magical power of heaven and earth into their bodies. Then, using special battle runes, magic power is stored within the body. The stronger the battle runes, the more power they can withstand. Lai first helped me carve the most basic battle patterns. At that moment, a sharp pain shot through my chest. I gritted my teeth and didn't make a sound. Lai looked at me, a hint of relief flashing in his eyes. Very good. When I first carved battle patterns, I cried out in pain. You are stronger than I thought. After completing the battle runes, I began to cultivate every day, but a month passed. I still didn't feel any magic. The servants beside the training ground whispered among themselves. Does the young master lack talent? How could that be? The knight's child can't be bad. Can he? But I haven't been able to sense any magic power for a whole month. I heard all of those sounds, but I didn't give up. because I know that my years of research in traditional Chinese medicine in my previous life have given me an advantage that others don't have. The meridians of the human body. People in this world are all researching how to use external magic to strengthen themselves, but they never truly understood the inside of the human body. Perhaps I can find another way, but now is not the time. Besides practicing martial arts, I have another goal: to become a mage. On the continent of Valen, mages hold an extremely high status. Once the Sea of Spirit is awakened, one can control the power of the elements. Nobles, kingdoms, and even major powers would actively recruit them. However, the chances of becoming a monk are extremely slim. If one cannot open their spiritual sea before the age of 12, they will never have another chance in this lifetime. Awakening potions, on the other hand, are priced beyond the reach of ordinary people. One bottle of potion is worth 620 gold coins. For ordinary families, that's an unimaginable number. Therefore, most children can only rely on luck. I knew I had to find a solution beforehand, because fate never gives you opportunities on its own initiative. A few months later, my mother took me to the Viscount Valen's mansion. There, I met two people my age. Lex, Ovi. They are a pair of twins, a boy and a girl. Lex is cheerful and loves studying magic, and longs to become a mage. Ovi, on the other hand, was much quieter. She always stood aside observing others and rarely spoke up. When we first met, Lex looked me up and down. You're Jiang Chuan? I heard your father is very capable. I nodded. He smiled. Let's study together from now on. However, I will definitely become a great mage in the future, Ovi said softly from the side. Brother, you always say that, Lex answered seriously, because the goal is to speak it out. Looking at them, I suddenly realized that the world wasn't as unfamiliar as I had imagined. At least, I have a new family, new friends. I just don't know. Someday in the future, I will completely change the landscape of the entire continent of Valen because of one choice. Right now, I'm just a 7-year-old child who can't feel the magic. Everyone thought I could only follow in my father's footsteps and become an ordinary martial artist. But they didn't know. My body contains knowledge from another world. A road that no one has ever traveled before is slowly emerging. I originally thought that as long as I had the knowledge from my past life, it was only a matter of time before I found out the laws governing the operation of magic. But after I actually started cultivating, I realized that this world was far more complex than I had imagined. Every morning, I practiced basic swordsmanship with my father. Ray, he swung his sword. Sheath your sword. Adjust your breathing. Repeated again and again. For ordinary children, this kind of training is already beyond their capacity to cope. But I have the soul of an adult inside me, and my willpower is far stronger than that of my peers. Even though my arms were so sore that I couldn't lift them, I still persevered. Lei stood beside me, watching. Jiang Chuan, do you know why perseverance is the most important aspect of knightly training? I wiped the sweat from my forehead. Because only by persisting can one accumulate strength. Ray shook his head. That's just one of the reasons. He picked up his long sword. What really matters is control. The stronger the force, the easier it is to lose control. A person who cannot control his own power will only hurt others when he wields a sword. I wrote it down carefully. My father taught me more than just swordsmanship. There's also the mindset needed to become a strong person. But what troubles me is that the battle markings on my chest have not responded at all. Practice breathing exercises every day. The magical power of heaven and earth entered the body. Then it dissipated. It was as if my body simply couldn't store them. A month and a half later. On the training field, Lei frowned as he looked at me. Still no feeling? I shook my head. No. He remained silent for a long time. He then said, Actually, there's no need to rush. It took me 3 months to feel the magic for the first time back then. To sense magic power in 3 months is already considered genius among knights. I know my father was trying to comfort me, but I became increasingly anxious, because I know I can't wait as patiently as a normal child. 12 years old? This is the deadline for the monk's awakening. If I miss this opportunity, I may never become a mage. The path I most want to take is magic. Night. After everyone had gone to sleep, I went to the backyard alone. I sat cross-legged on the ground under the moonlight. Start trying things from your past life memories. Tai Chi in my past life. When I was studying traditional Chinese medicine, I also researched traditional health preservation techniques. They have in-depth understanding of breathing, body coordination, and blood circulation. No one in this world knows about meridians. They only knew about battle patterns. It only knows how to absorb external magic. But the human body itself is a huge treasure trove. If the so-called dantian and meridians really exist, so, can magic also function in another way? I slowly adjusted my breathing. The hands move with the movement. The body gradually enters a wonderful state. At first, nothing changed. Half an hour passed. It remains the same. Just when I was about to give up, sudden, a cool sensation entered my body from the air. It's not a battle mark on the chest. Instead, it enters through the pores of the entire body. It flowed along a route that I couldn't explain, yet was incredibly familiar with. I was completely stunned. Is it really possible? The magic did not pass through the battle runes. It operates inside the body. They converge along the meridians. Finally, it sank into the abdomen. There, it was as if a new space had appeared. I held my breath. They dared not make the slightest move, because at this moment, I finally found a different path. The next day, I didn't tell anyone, including the father. It's not that I don't trust Ray. Rather, it's because this matter is too astonishing. If others knew that a 7-year-old child was absorbing magic power by bypassing the Knight system, it would probably cause a huge problem. In this world, talent represents resources. Resources represent status. It's not necessarily a matter of luck for someone without a background to possess extraordinary abilities. It could also be a disaster. Therefore, I need to hide. Daytime. I am that child who practices swordsmanship diligently but is unable to break through to a higher level. Night. I am someone who is secretly exploring a completely new cultivation system. Time passed little by little. My body started to change. I used to get tired after swinging my sword 10 times. He can still maintain a steady hand position even after swinging the sword dozens of times. Its strength is also slowly increasing, but on the surface, I still acted like any other child. They even deliberately control their own strength. After the private school opened, my father arranged for me to study at the Viscount's mansion. There, I saw Lex and Ovi again. Our instructors were private tutors hired by the Viscount. The instructor's name was Horn. He was well versed in history, the basics of magic, and aristocratic etiquette. First day of class. Lex couldn't wait to ask, "Teacher Horn, after becoming a mage, is it really possible to manipulate the elements of heaven and earth?" Horn smiled. "Certainly. Flames, water, thunder, storms, as long as one's mental strength is strong enough, one can control them all." Lex's eyes lit up. "Then I will become the most powerful mage." Ovi quietly turned the pages of her book. Horn looked at her. "Miss Ovi, and you?" She paused for a moment. "I also want to become a mage." The sound was very soft, but I could hear the seriousness in his voice. I found out later. A Viscount can only purchase 1 awakening potion per year. Lex and Ovi are twins, but the Viscount ultimately chose to give the opportunity to Ovi, because in aristocratic families, female awakened mages were also highly valued. More importantly, Ovi's spiritual talent was considered to make her more suitable to become a mage than her brother. He had been taking medication for several years in a row. She still shows no signs of awakening. Only 1 year left until I turned 12. That day after class, I saw Ovi sitting alone in the courtyard. He was holding a magic book, but the page wasn't turned. I walked over. "Why not go back?" She looked up at me. "Do you think I can still become a mage?" I was stunned for a moment. I didn't expect her to ask this suddenly. I said seriously, "Can." She looked at me. "Why do you believe that?" I thought about it. "Because you haven't given up yet." Ovi remained silent. After a long while, she said softly, "Jiangchuan, if I fail again in the final year, what do you think I should do?" I looked at the girl. This is the first time I've discovered it. That seemingly quiet noblewoman was actually under immense pressure. She wasn't afraid of failure. She was afraid that her life had been decided by others from the moment she was born. What I didn't know was, someday in the future, I will personally change her fate. This will also draw them into a storm that will change the entire continent's landscape. I did not answer Ovi's question immediately, because I know that in this world, fate is indeed cruel to many people. Birth determines identity. Talent determines the future. People who lack power often lack even the right to choose their own path in life. But I don't want to see a 12-year-old girl decide that her life is over just because of a failed attempt at awakening. I looked at her. "If we fail in the final year, we'll try a different approach." Ovi was slightly taken aback. "Try another route?" I nodded. Becoming a mage is not the only option. This world is vast, and there is more than one type of strong person. She looked down at the magic book in her hand. But my father wants me to become a monk. Everyone thinks that I only have value if I successfully awaken. Her voice was very soft, but I could detect a hint of grievance in his voice. I remained silent for a moment. Ovi, your value should not be determined by others. She looked up at me. There was a hint of doubt in his eyes. It seems incomprehensible why a 7-year-old child would say such a thing. I also realized that my tone was too mature. He quickly added more details. This is what my father taught me. He said that true strength does not come from the approval of others. Ovi stared at me for a long time. He gave a soft laugh at the end. You are different from other children. I did not answer, because I know it myself. I am indeed different. My body is only 7 years old, but my soul lived in another world for more than 20 years. I've seen technology. I have seen knowledge. I've also seen ordinary people change their fate through hard work. Therefore, I cannot accept that people in this world have their future predetermined simply because of their talents. In the days that followed, I continued to study and explore my own cultivation methods. During the day, I followed Horn to learn about the continent. In the evening, I practiced alone. I discovered that after absorbing magic power through the meridians, the body's utilization rate of magic power far exceeds that of battle runes. Ordinary knights need to first infuse magic into their battle runes, and then strengthen their bodies through the battle runes. My magic can directly enter the meridians, nourish the body, strengthen flesh and blood. It can even gradually change the body's structure. This rate of improvement far exceeded my expectations. In just a few months, my strength has far surpassed that of children my age, but I didn't show it. In my father's eyes, I was still just a child searching for the feeling of magic. In the private school, I was just an average student, because I know exposing it too early will only cause trouble. Lex, on the other hand, often challenges me to spar. He received aristocratic training from a young age. His basic swordsmanship is much stronger than that of the average child. During their first encounter, he gripped the wooden sword and said earnestly, Jiang Chuan, I won't go easy on you just because you're my friend. I smiled. I don't know either. The next moment, Lex charged at him. His swordsmanship is excellent. Each attack bore the clear marks of knightly training. Strength, speed, angle. Everything is under control. If it were an ordinary child, they would have no chance against it. But in my eyes, his actions were too direct. In my previous life, when I was learning Tai Chi, I came across the concept of using leverage to deflect force. Strength doesn't necessarily have to clash head-on. I turned my body slightly to the side. The wooden sword gently swiped it. Lex's attack instantly went astray. He was unsteady on his feet and almost fell. The children around were all stunned. Lex stood firm, looking on incredulously. What was that just now? I said casually. It was just luck. He frowned. Luck? You knew in advance where I was going to attack. I smiled and offered no explanation. From then on, Lex prefers to spar with me, but each time, I control my strength. Make him feel that he only lost because of a lack of experience. Time passed. My body is getting stronger and stronger. However, Ovi's situation is getting worse and worse. She took a new awakening potion. Still no success. That day, the atmosphere inside the Viscount's mansion was heavy. I heard the news from the instructor. Ovi is less than a year away from turning 12. If the last chance fails, her family might arrange a marriage between her and another nobleman. Because for nobles, unable to become the successor to the mage, one needs to secure family interests through marriage. That night, this was the first time I saw Ovi cry. She didn't cry out loud. I just sat in the corner of the garden. Tears kept falling. I walked over. She didn't turn around. Jiang Chuan, why can't people choose their own future? I sat next to her. Because many people are restricted by the rules. Then why doesn't anyone change the rules? She asked. I looked into the distance. Because those who change the rules must first have the power to break the rules. Ovi remained silent. After a while, she said, Will you become that kind of person? I was stunned. I didn't expect her to ask that. I smiled. I have no idea, but I will try my best. After that day, I became even more obsessed with my training. I started trying to open up more meridians, based on past life memories. The distribution of meridians in the human body is complex. If it can truly be fully connected, perhaps I can create a completely new power system. 6 months. I have been able to make the magic power in my body circulate along a fixed route. The force in my abdomen is getting stronger and stronger. It is completely different from ordinary magic. It is more solid, more pure. It even carries a sense of explosive power. Like lightning, I gave it a name, composite energy. It embodies the magic of this world. It also incorporates my understanding of human strength from my previous life. However, I still haven't made a real breakthrough, because I know. Next step. That's the most crucial part. The spiritual sea. If I could open the sea of my mind, then I will have both the path of a martial artist and the path of a mage. This is in the continent of Valen. No one has ever done it. And just as I was preparing to continue trying, Father Ray made a decision. He wants to pass on the true Thunderlight sword technique to me. That day, he took out an ancient sword manual that he had kept for many years. It was placed in front of me. Jiangchuan, this is the greatest opportunity of my life. Now, I'm handing it over to you. I looked at that sword manual. It was the first time I had felt that way. The era that truly belongs to me. It's about to begin. I reached out and took the sword manual. The old cover had no fancy decorations. Only 3 simple words. Lightning sword. But the moment my hand touched it, a sharp aura rushed towards me. It's as if a dormant thunderbolt is hidden within this ordinary book. My father, Ray, sat across from me. His expression unusually serious. Jiangchuan. This sword technique is something I obtained from ancient ruins. I almost died there back then trying to get it. I turned to the first page. The contents contained inside were more complex than I had imagined. Ordinary swordsmanship only emphasizes strength, speed, and technique. But the Thunder Sword is different. It requires practitioners to highly compress their internal energy, and then unleash it the moment they draw their sword. The faster the speed, the greater the power. When one truly cultivates to a high level, the power of a single sword strike can summon lightning. My father looked at me. This sword technique is very strong, but it's also very dangerous. Your body is still small. Don't rush to pursue power. The basics are the most important. I nodded. Father, I understand. Lei nodded in satisfaction. Remember, a sword is not for proving itself. The sword is for protection. He once said that. But this time, I felt a deeper meaning in it. That evening, I did not practice the Thunderlight sword. Instead, he spent the entire night studying the sword manual. The more I looked, the more surprised I became. The people of this world possess great power. However, the development of the body itself is very superficial. Lightning sword is already considered top-tier swordsmanship. However, many of its operating methods still rely on battle patterns. If it were my composite energy, it might produce a completely different effect. Certainly, now is not the time to change. I need sufficient strength. Only then can one prove their path. The days that followed, I began practicing the Thunderlight sword. On the surface, I practiced according to the methods taught by my father. Actually, I secretly adjusted the power flow path. Ordinary knights store power using battle runes. I utilized the meridians to mobilize complex energy. On the first attempt, I felt intense pain throughout my entire arm. The power of lightning is too violent. If not controlled properly, it can easily harm oneself. I stopped immediately. No further risks were taken. When I studied traditional Chinese medicine in my previous life, there was one principle that I understood most clearly. The body is fundamental. Any force must be within the limits of what the body can withstand. So I started making adjustments little by little. Change your breathing rhythm. Change the power cycle. They even redesigned every single sword drawing motion. Several months later, the Thunder Sword has become completely different in my hands. A move that originally required a long time to charge up. I can explode instantly. A sword move that could originally only be used for single target attacks. I can make my power form a defense. I didn't rush to show it. Instead, they continued to hide. Until a martial arts competition at a private school, Lex came to me again. Jiangchuan, this time, I will definitely win. Looking at his serious expression, I laughed. Good. These past few years, Lex is growing rapidly. His body is getting stronger and stronger. Moreover, they have successfully sensed the magic. Although I haven't become a mage yet. However, martial arts training has entered a new stage. The match begins. He charged forward, sword in hand. The speed is much faster than before. This sword strike was clearly stronger than the previous ones. I did not choose to hide. Instead, he raised his sword to meet the attack. The two wooden swords clashed. Bang! The immense force made my arm go numb. Lex's eyes lit up. Are you finally serious? I shook my head. Not yet. He paused for a moment. The next moment, I took half a step back with his help. The body rotates naturally. The wooden sword slid past his blade. Gently tap his shoulder. The entire room fell silent. Lex looked down at his shoulder. He remained silent for a long time. Finally, he gave a wry smile. I lost again. I reached out and helped him up. Your strength is already very great. It's just that the attack was too direct. Lex looked at me. Jiangchuan, when are you finally going to seriously fight me? I smiled. Wait until you can force me to take it seriously. This sentence stunned him. Then, a fighting spirit ignited in his eyes. Good. I will definitely do it. Ovi, who was standing next to us, was looking at us. I couldn't help but laugh. You too. Every time you have a match. It's like you're making an appointment for the next one, Lex said, because one day, I will surpass him. I did not refute it, because I know. Lex is not my enemy. He is a friend worthy of respect. Time continued to pass. My strength is constantly improving, but in other people's eyes, I am still just that child with average talent. Some people even privately believe that the son of Night Ray may not be able to inherit his glory. Regarding these sounds, I never care, because true strength is never based on the evaluation of others. Some time has passed. I began to try to reach a deeper level of spiritual practice. The Rin and Du meridians, according to the theory of past lives. This is the most important circulatory channel in the human body. If it can be connected, my power will inevitably undergo a qualitative change. First attempt. Fail. The second time. Still a failure. The intense energy surge caused me excruciating pain, but I didn't stop, because I know, if successful, my path will be completely different. One late night, when everyone went to sleep, I sat cross-legged in the room again. The complex energy within the body flows slowly. Sudden, an obstacle appeared, like a tightly closed door. It blocked all the power. I gritted my teeth. Concentrate all resources. Boom! That moment, it was as if something had been opened. The power within his body flowed instantly. Ren meridian. Pass. Immediately afterwards, the Du meridian also began to vibrate. At the very instant the two main veins connected, my consciousness suddenly entered a strange state. The whole world seemed to become incredibly clear. The magic in the air, every change in the body, everything can be perceived. But what I didn't know was, right at this moment, the spiritual essence hidden deep within me. It also began to slowly awaken. The path that belongs to the mage. It is about to open up to me. The moment my Rin and Du meridians were connected, I felt my entire body change. The power that was once hidden within flesh and blood, like a river that had been dormant for a long time, finally found its outlet. The combined energy circulates along the meridians. Each cycle strengthens my body. My hearing has become more acute. The sound of leaves falling to the ground in the distance at night can be clearly heard. My perception has also become broader. The magic in the air is no longer as vague as it used to be. They seem to transform into specks of light floating between heaven and earth. I can even clearly sense their attributes. The intense heat of the flames, the gentle flow of water, the lightness of the wind element, the fury of lightning. This breakthrough has made me even more certain. My path is not wrong. The people of this world absorb magic power through battle runes. I, through the body's own meridians, have created a completely new method of cultivation. However, I didn't tell anyone right away, because I know that now is not the time to expose myself. The next morning, my father made me practice swordsmanship as usual. He stood beside me, watching my movements. He suddenly frowned. Jiangchuan, your sword seems to have changed. My heart tightened slightly. Have we been discovered? But Ray just walked over and took my wrist. Your control over your power is better than before. This is a good thing. I breathed a sigh of relief. He said with a smile. It's probably because I've been practicing a lot lately. Ray didn't ask any further questions. He just patted me on the shoulder. Remember, the most important thing in swordsmanship is the heart. Strength can be increased gradually, but if your mind is in turmoil, even the strongest sword is meaningless. I nodded. My father was unaware of my secret, but what he taught me has continued to influence me. The days that followed, I began to continue exploring the spiritual realm. According to this world's perspective, the mage needs to open the sea of the mind. Only when the ocean of the spirit appears can one truly become a Dharma master. Ordinary people need to rely on awakening drugs, but I believe the human body must possess methods for unlocking spiritual power, because of the theories of traditional Chinese medicine from my past life. The meridians in the human body do not exist in isolation. The body and mind are an integrated whole. As long as the connection method is found, that would make it possible to break through the restrictions. Night. I tried again and again. Direct the combined energy towards the center of your eyebrows. Every impact gave me a splitting headache. There were even a few times when he almost lost consciousness. But I didn't stop, because I know, if successful, I will possess the power of both a warrior and a mage. Time slowly passed. One late night, when I channeled my power again, a warm sensation suddenly came from between my eyebrows. Immediately afterwards, the whole world seemed to quiet down. My consciousness entered an unfamiliar space. There was no sound. There is no direction. There was only a vast expanse of darkness. The next moment, a faint light appeared. That light came from the depths of my spirit. It continues to expand. Ultimately, it formed an illusory ocean, the sea of the spirit. Start. I was completely stunned, because all of this was done without relying on awakening potions. I became a mage through my own efforts. What's even more special is that, after my spiritual sea was opened, the magical power of heaven and earth actually moved closer to me on its own. The speed far exceeds that of ordinary meditation. I realized it immediately. My mental talent is probably not ordinary. But I hadn't had a chance to study it carefully yet. A massive amount of information suddenly appeared. It's like some kind of memory hidden deep in your blood. It made me realize something. My cultivation method has surpassed the existing system of this world. Warrior, the monk, two roads. They exist simultaneously within me. The next day, I arrived at the training ground as usual. Ray looked at me. I feel good today. I nodded. I feel a bit more relaxed. He smiled. Then keep trying. No one noticed. Just last night. That child whom everyone thought had average talent. They have already quietly entered 2 fields. In the private school, Lex continued to study magic diligently. Ovi continues to practice meditation every day. They didn't know. I have found the power they have been searching for. But I didn't show off. Because I know. True strength lies in concealing one's brilliance. They only reveal their true strength at crucial moments. But, watching Ovi persist despite her repeated failures, an idea popped into my head. What if my method could help her? What if I could help her unlock her spiritual sea without relying on awakening potions? The thought came to mind. It can never be eliminated again. But I also understand. Wanting to change other people's fate. First, you need to have sufficiently strong abilities. And me now. That's far from enough. I want to continue to grow. Continue to hide. Until one day, everyone will know. This child who once couldn't feel the magic. What kind of path did they ultimately take? After the Sea of Spirit was opened, I did not immediately show any abnormality. In other people's eyes, I am still that child who follows my father to practice swordsmanship every day, but only I know that my body has undergone tremendous changes. The improvement that used to take half a day to cultivate can now be felt in a very short time. The combined energy circulates in my meridians, and each circulation feels like a reforging of my body. What surprised me even more was that after the Sea of Spirit was opened, my understanding of magic also began to improve rapidly. When Horn taught and explained basic magical theory, I could understand the knowledge that others needed to memorize repeatedly after listening to it only once. Magical structure, arrangement of elements, mind control. These originally obscure and difficult to understand contents gradually became clear in my eyes. But I still kept a low profile. Because I know very well what it will mean when a child suddenly shows talent far beyond that of ordinary people. On this continent, genius means opportunity. This also means that it attracts the attention of countless people. Right now, I don't have the ability to protect myself. Therefore, I choose to wait. This day, after the private school ended, Lex found me again. Jiang Chuan, practice swordsmanship with me. I looked at him. Haven't you been studying magic lately? Lex sighed helplessly. I do like magic, but my father said that basic physical training cannot be neglected before becoming a mage. After saying that, he gripped the wooden sword tightly. Furthermore, I want to know exactly where the gap between us lies. I did not refuse. Lex has been making progress over the years. Although he was somewhat proud, he never shied away from failure. Such a person will surely become a true strongman in the future. The competition begins. This time, Lex didn't attack directly as he had before. He observed my movements first, then looked for opportunities. I was slightly surprised. It seems he has indeed grown a lot during this time. The next moment, Lex suddenly drew his sword. The sword's edge was aimed straight at my shoulder. I did not back down. The body shifted slightly to the side. The wooden sword grazed my clothes. Immediately afterwards, I twisted my wrist, prepared to use this opportunity to launch a counterattack. But just then, Lex suddenly changed direction. The attack, which was originally aimed at my shoulder, suddenly turned to my waist. I paused for a moment. Then he laughed. Good. He seized the opportunity and quickly retreated. You've finally given me a proper compliment, I said, because you have indeed improved. Lex smiled. One day, I will win. I'll wait. Ovi, who was standing next to us, was looking at us. He said softly, It seems like you two are always making plans for the next match. Lex said, Because there is no next time. You won't know if you've made any progress. I looked at him. Suddenly I realized that there are actually many people in this world who are worth cherishing. Even if the future is full of dangers, at least for now, I'm not alone in moving forward. The days that followed, I began to study my own power. I discovered that compound energy can strengthen the body. It can also affect the casting of spells. Ordinary mages need to communicate with the elements through mental power, and then control magic to create magic. My mental strength, combined with composite energy, can greatly increase the speed of magic casting, especially lightning magic, because my composite energy itself has the characteristics of thunder. During a late-night meditation session, I tried to condense the lightning element. Lightning continued to gather in the air. Finally, a tiny arc of electricity appeared in my palm. Although the strength is very weak, but that marked the beginning of another path. I began to try combining lightning swordsmanship with magic. If successful, therefore, my fighting style will be completely different from anyone else in this world. However, this process is not easy. Magic and swordsmanship are two different systems. To achieve fusion, extremely strong control is required. On the first failure, the raging lightning element almost went out of control. I promptly severed the power connection, but my arm was still numb from the shock. I sat on the ground and gave a bitter laugh. It seems that creating new power is not so simple, but it is precisely because of the difficulties. Only then is it worth continuing. At the same time, Ovi's situation is attracting increasing attention. She is getting closer and closer to turning 12. Within the Viscount's mansion, some voices began to emerge regarding her future plans. Some people believe that if one cannot become a monk, one should arrange a marriage as soon as possible. When these words reached my ears, I felt the coldness of the aristocratic world for the first time. A person's value, it can actually be changed because of the inability to awaken one's power. That day, I met Ovi in the courtyard. She sat under the tree. He was holding a magic book, but it wasn't turned over. I walked over. Still practicing? She nodded. But I'm getting more and more scared. I looked at her. What are you afraid of? She whispered. I'm afraid that all my efforts will ultimately be in vain. I remained silent for a while, then asked her, What if becoming a mage isn't the only path? Ovi looked at me. Are you trying to comfort me again? No, I said seriously. I believe that a person's future should not only have one possibility. She looked at me. It seemed like it was trying to find the answer in my eyes. Much later, she said softly, Jiangchuan, if one day I really lose the opportunity to choose, will you help me? I didn't answer immediately, because I know the weight behind those words. She wasn't asking a friend. She was seeking a last glimmer of hope from someone whose fate was about to push them into an unknown direction. I looked at her. He said seriously, If I had the ability, I definitely will. Ovi did not speak. He simply nodded slightly. But I didn't expect that. This promise. The future will be the starting point for me to step into a huge storm. And now, what I need to do is continue to improve my capabilities, because the true rules of this world have never been language. It is power. Only when it is strong enough. Only then do you have the right to change a destiny that others cannot change. After my father handed me the complete Thunder Light Sword manual, my cultivation path completely changed. Previously, I simply used composite energy to strengthen my body and then imitated the moves of the Thunder Light Sword. But after studying the complete sword manual, I discovered that this sword technique was far more powerful than it appeared on the surface. All that I obtained were fragments from ancient ruins. Although the core remains, many details have been lost. For example, the way power is unleashed. For example, how to stably control lightning attribute energy. Another example is how to form a defense in addition to an attack. These problems have troubled countless practitioners in the past. But for me, my understanding of human strength from my past life has given me a different perspective. Since the battle runes cannot fully exert their magic, then let's change the way power is used. I began to readjust the Thunder Sword. With each swing of my sword, I let the combined energy flow along my meridians. Before the sword is drawn, the power is compressed. The moment the sword fell, it erupted instantly. At the beginning, there were a lot of failures. Once, I lost control of my lightning attribute power, and my wooden sword shattered on the spot. The shards grazed his arm, leaving several cuts. I looked at the flowing blood, but I wasn't discouraged. On the contrary, it made us more certain of our direction. The greater the power, the more precise the control required. If all you pursue is destructive power, then you'll just be using the same old fighting style forever. True power should move at will. After continuous adjustments, several months later, I have finally created my own unique moves. First move, Thunder Dragon Barrier. The composite energy is released instantly, forming a lightning attribute defense around the body. The second move, Lightning Bolts Bind the Net. Use the lightning element to create a special binding force, restricting the enemy's movement. The third move, Piercing Lightning and Stabbing. Concentrate all your power into one point and unleash it at an extremely fast speed to instantly penetrate the enemy's defenses. These moves have completely deviated from the original Thunder Light Sword system. They belong to me. It belongs to a power system that has never existed before. But I still didn't expose myself, because I know that I am still too weak right now. True strength does not lie in possessing secrets. Instead, they possess the ability to protect secrets. During this period of time, Lex's strength has also improved very quickly. He finally succeeded in making the breakthrough. He became a beginner-level martial artist. When the news reached the Viscount's mansion, everyone was happy for him. Lex contacted me immediately. Jiangchuan, let's have a fight. I looked at him. You want to challenge me right after breaking through? He smiled. It's precisely because I just made a breakthrough that I want to know the gap. On the training field, Lex gripped his longsword. This time, the aura emanating from him was noticeably different. Magic flowed through the battle runes, greatly increasing his strength and speed. If you're dealing with ordinary children, he already has an absolute advantage, but it was me standing in front of him. The battle begins. Lex didn't charge straight at him like he used to. He adjusted his breathing. His steps were steady. Then it suddenly erupted. The speed is several times faster than before. I did not use composite energy. It simply relies on Tai Chi to deflect force. His sword was getting faster and faster. The angles of attack are becoming increasingly tricky. I thwarted several of their attacks. Lex's forehead was sweating. Why? You are clearly not as strong as me. Why can't I ever touch you? I smiled. Because your strength is too direct. You're only thinking about defeating your opponent. But they did not observe their opponent. Lex paused for a moment. The attack then ceased. Think carefully about what I said. After a moment, he said, Jiangchuan, are you really just an ordinary martial artist? My heart skipped a beat. But there was no change in his face. Certainly. He stared at me for a while. He finally shook his head and laughed. Never mind. One day, I will force you to tell the truth. Hearing this, Ovi, who was standing next to her, couldn't help but laugh. Brother, every time you lose, you say next time, Lex said seriously, because next time will definitely be different. Look at them. I suddenly feel a sense of anticipation for the future. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, we may continue to grow like this. Let's learn together. Let's become stronger together. But I soon discovered, fate does not unfold according to people's wishes. The day the private school ended, a simple gathering was held at the Viscount's mansion. Coach Horn announced, Children, you have completed your basic courses. Next, we need to truly engage with the outside world. Lex's eyes lit up instantly when he heard that. Father, I want to go and gain experience. Viscount Valen looked at him. Where do you want to go? Echo Mountains. Lex didn't hesitate. There are real magical beasts there. I want to see how strong I am. Ovi, who was standing next to her, also spoke up. I'll go too. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Viscount Valen frowned. Ovi, the mountains are dangerous, she whispered. I want to prove myself. I looked at her. I know what she really wants to prove. She didn't want to be a protected noblewoman. She wanted the power to decide her own life. Final. Viscount Valen agreed. At the same time, a guard team was arranged to protect us. Captain Evan, the guard captain, is an experienced knight. He led a team of guards along the way. Before departure, my father, Ray, found me. Jiangchuan, don't be reckless this time you go out. True experience is not about proving how great you are. Instead, we learn to come back alive. I nodded. Father, I remember. The group left the Viscount's territory, head towards the Echo Mountains. Along the way, Lex was extremely excited. He kept asking Evan about Warcraft. Ovi, on the other hand, was much quieter. She occasionally glanced into the distance. I don't know what she's thinking, and I felt it. The magic in the air grew stronger. The mountain range ahead. They are waiting for our arrival. But no one knew it. This experience was a valuable lesson. It will completely change the fate of each and every one of us. On the third day after entering the Echo Mountains, we encountered our first real magical beast. It was an ice forest deer. It hid in the dense forest. Its fur was pale blue, and cold air constantly gathered around it. Evan raised his hand to signal everyone to stop. Maintain formation. This is a level 1 magical beast. Although it is not very strong, it is very fast. The guards immediately drew their weapons. Lex gripped his longsword tightly, a glint of excitement in his eyes. It's finally here. These days, he has been looking forward to a real battle. But Evan didn't let him rush out immediately. Young master, Warcraft is different from training. The enemies here will not show mercy just because you are a nobleman. Lex took a deep breath. He nodded. The next moment, the ice forest deer suddenly launched an attack. It moved as fast as a blue phantom. Just as the guards were preparing to defend, it had already rushed to their side. Just then, Lex made his move. The long sword, imbued with magical power, slashed down. Bang! The ice forest deer was forced to retreat. But it was not injured. Instead, they used their speed to widen the distance again. I stood by and observed. Although Lex broke through to become a martial artist. But since it was my first time facing Warcraft, I still lacked experience. He has enough power. However, judgment is not enough. I was just about to remind you. The ice forest deer suddenly changed direction. He rushed toward Ovi. Careful! Lex's expression changed. But the distance is already too far. Just as the ice forest deer was about to approach, I moved my foot. His body appeared in front of Ovi in an instant. No composite energy was used. He simply swung his sword. The wooden sword struck the ice forest deer precisely on the head. The powerful force sent it flying backwards. Everyone around was stunned. Evan looked at me. A hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Young Master Jiangchuan, your reaction speed. I put the wooden sword away, he said calmly. It was just luck. Evan didn't say anything, but he clearly started to look at me again. Finally, the ice forest deer was dealt with by Lex. He walked over. I'm feeling a bit down. Jiangchuan, was I too careless just now? I nodded. It's normal to face a monster for the first time. Remember, fighting is not about who is stronger. It's a competition of who can survive to the end. Lex took careful notes. Keep going. Another day has passed. We encountered a level 2 magical beast, rock-faced wild boar. It is enormous, with skin covered in hard rock armor. Normal attacks cannot cause any damage. This time, Evan assigned Lex to be in charge of direct containment. The other guards looked for an opportunity. The battle lasted a long time. Lex seized the opportunity and thrust his sword into the rock-fur boar's weak spot. The monster fell. He stood there, panting. His face was full of excitement. This was the first time he had truly defeated a monster using only his own strength. The guards began collecting the magic cores. Just when everyone was relaxing, a purple figure suddenly appeared. It's too fast to be captured. The next moment, the magic core inside the rock fang board disappeared. Evan's expression changed. What is that? I looked into the distance. There stood a small magical beast. Its entire body is covered in purple fur. His eyes flashed with lightning. Purple electric sable. Level 3 Warcraft. Its greatest strength is speed. It was carrying the magic core and looking at us. It seems like a provocation. Lex gripped his sword. I'll do it. I reached out to stop him. Don't chase after them. It's not something we can easily deal with right now. However, the purple lightning sable did not attack. It simply vanished quickly, taking the magic core with it. Evan frowned. It seems this area is more dangerous than we thought. That evening, we set up camp to rest. Everyone became more vigilant. However, danger still struck. Midnight. A deep roar suddenly rang out. The entire camp was instantly awakened. In the woods, a pair of enormous eyes appeared. Level 4 Warcraft. Emerald-patterned winged tiger. Evan's expression changed instantly. Protect the young master and young lady. The guards quickly formed a defense. But at that moment, a sharp cry came from the sky. The purple electric ferret that escaped during the day has reappeared. It stood on a branch. It kept making noises. The next moment, a large number of venomous snakes appeared in the surrounding grass. Turn out to be. It deliberately attracted the snakes. Let's get into chaos. Damn it! Evan roared. Take care of the snakes first. The battle erupted instantly. The guards were held back by a large number of venomous snakes. The emerald-winged tiger charged directly into the crowd. Its goal. It's Ovi. I didn't hesitate at all. He instantly shielded her with his body. Step back. Ovi watched my retreating figure. Jiang Chuan. Watch out. The emerald-patterned winged tiger opened its massive jaws. Sharp claws tear through the air. This strike. It is enough to seriously injure an ordinary martial artist. I could no longer hide it. The composite energy is activated instantly. Lightning erupted within his body. Lightning stomp. Boom! My body transformed into a bolt of lightning, instantly evaded the attack. At the same time, he threw a punch at the winged tiger. The immense force caused even a level 4 magical beast to retreat several steps. Everyone was shocked. Lex's eyes widened. How is that possible? Evan stared intently at me. He finally understood. This young man has been hiding his true strength. He's not an ordinary child at all. But now, there is no time to explain, because the emerald-winged tiger launched another attack. Meanwhile, the swarm of snakes brought by the purple electric sable continued to approach. I stand before everyone. The first time I truly unleashed my power. Today, no one can hurt them. The moment the emerald-winged tiger pounced again, the combined energy within me erupted completely. The violent lightning power flowed through his meridians and finally gathered in his hands. At that moment, I stopped hiding, because the premise of concealing one's strength is having a way out. And now, behind her was Ovi, and Lex, and then there were the guards who followed us into the mountains. I cannot back out. Thunder Dragon Barrier! The low shout subsided. A barrier formed from lightning instantly appeared in front of him. The emerald-striped winged tiger slammed down with its massive claws. Boom! Lightning exploded. The powerful impact caused cracks to appear in the ground. I took several steps back. I felt numbness in my arm. The power of a level 4 magical beast is indeed something that ordinary martial artists cannot withstand. But the same applies. The emerald-winged tiger was also repelled by the power of lightning. It was looking at me. For the first time, wariness appeared in his eyes. Everyone around fell silent. Lex gripped his sword. He was completely stunned. Jiang Chuan, just what is your strength? I did not answer. There is simply no time to explain right now. The purple electric ferret is still controlling the snake swarm. If this drags on, everyone will be in danger. I stared at the little purple beast. I'll deal with you first. The next moment, I took a step. Thunderstrike was activated again. His body shot out instantly. The purple lightning sable is extremely fast. It seemed to have known my target all along, and turned to flee. But this time, I didn't chase after it. Instead, it changed direction. Charged toward the emerald-winged tiger, because I discovered it. Although the purple lightning sable is fast, however, its offensive capabilities are limited. The real threat to everyone is this level 4 magical beast. Thrust through the lightning. Lightning converged at the tip of the sword. A blinding light pierced the darkness. The emerald-patterned winged tiger roared. The emerald-green patterns on the body's surface lit up. It wanted to tough it out, but the next moment, the sword's edge broke through the defense. Blood splattered. The emerald-winged tiger let out a painful roar. It struggled frantically. I used the momentum to retreat. It was not given a chance to recover. We must once again unite our strength. Lightning net. Countless bolts of lightning transformed into chains, briefly binding its body. Immediately afterwards, the final blow landed. Boom! The emerald-patterned winged tiger lay on the ground. The entire camp fell into a deathly silence. Everyone was looking at me. It's like looking at a complete stranger. Evan was the first to react. He took a deep breath. Young Master Jiang Chuan, you've been hiding your true strength. I remained silent. After a moment, he said, I just cultivate in a different way than others. Evan did not press further. Because he understands. Everyone has secrets. Lex walked up to me. He looked at me with a complicated expression. Turn out to be. You've always been accommodating to me. I don't know how to answer. In the end, all I can say is, you are my friend. Lex paused for a moment. Then he laughed. I knew it. One day, I will catch up with you. Ovi, who was standing next to her, remained silent. She just looked at me. There was shock in his eyes. There was also an indescribable emotion. That evening, after a short rest, we continued on our way. However, due to the heavy cost of the battle, I sustained numerous injuries. When Ovi found me, I am treating a wound on my arm. She sat down next to her. Why? I looked at her. What? She whispered. Why do you always step forward in times of danger? I smiled. Because I'm in the same line of work. Ovi shook her head. No. If you were just a competitor, you wouldn't go to this extent. I remained silent. She continued. Jiangchuan. I'm almost 12 years old. Do you know what this means? I didn't say anything. She looked into the distance. If the final awakening fails, my family will arrange my marriage. I will become a bargaining chip between the two families. My future will be decided by others. This was the first time she had truly expressed her fears to me. I looked at her. You don't want to? She shook her head. I don't want to. I want to be myself. I want to choose my own path. A long silence followed. She looked at me. Jiangchuan, what if one day I have nothing left? Would you take me away with you? My heart skipped a beat. I know. She wasn't just asking a simple question. Rather, they are placing their trust in me. I said seriously. If you really want to leave, I will help you. Always' eyes were slightly red. Nod slightly. Just then, I suddenly thought of a possibility. She is unable to awaken. Perhaps it's not a matter of talent. Rather, it's because the mental pathways haven't been fully opened. My mental strength might be able to help her. However, the risks are very high. If it fails, it might hurt her. I did not act immediately. We continued until we found a safe place to rest. I then said to her, Ovi, I have a way. It might awaken you. She was completely stunned. Really? But there are risks. I said seriously. You might get hurt. Ovi looked at me. Without hesitation. I trust you. That one sentence made me make up my mind. I sat cross-legged behind her. Mental energy entered her consciousness. Find the obstacles little by little. Finally, I've discovered the problem. Her spiritual essence is not weak. It is simply blocked by a natural barrier. I mobilize composite energy. A cautious approach. Once. Twice. Finally, the barrier developed cracks. Boom! In an instant, an immense spiritual power erupted. Ovi opened her eyes. The surrounding elements converged wildly. Wind, fire, water, thunder. The four elements revolve around her. Everyone was shocked. She succeeded. There is no awakening potion. There are no noble resources. She relied on her own strength. He became a mage. Ovi looked at her hands. Tears slowly fell. It really worked. I laughed. You finally have the right to choose your own life. However, what we don't know is, at the same time that Ovi awakened, deep in the distant mountains, a teleportation array that has been dormant for many years, also because of her power, restart. On the way back, we encountered a wind-type unicorn. In the midst of battle, its released power unexpectedly activated the underground ruins. The next moment, a dazzling light enveloped my body. I only had time to see Ovi's panicked expression. Then, the whole world was plunged into darkness. When I wake up again, there was no one around. And me. They were transported to a completely unfamiliar place. Deep abyss and deep forest. A forbidden area that even high-level adventurers dare not easily set foot in. The first feeling upon waking was quiet. It's too quiet. There was no sound of guards. Footsteps. There was no shout from Lex. There was no voice of concern from Ovi. I opened my eyes and found myself lying in an unfamiliar forest. The concentration of magic in the air is several times higher than in the Echo Mountains. The surrounding trees were enormous, their branches and leaves blocking out the sky. I stood up and checked my body immediately. Fine. There were no fatal wounds. The complex energy within the body still exists. But a problem arises. Where am I? Soon, I found the answer. A huge monster passed by in the distance. Its aura instantly put me on alert. Level 5 monster. This is not an ordinary forest. This is a deep abyss and a dense forest. One of the most dangerous areas on the continent of Valen. Rumor has it that a large number of high-level magical beasts live here. There are even some powerful beings that legendary experts are unwilling to provoke easily. I stood still. There was no panic. Fear does not solve problems. The most important thing now is to survive, then find a way back. In the days that followed, I began to live alone. They search for food during the day. I practice meditation in the evening. The monsters here are far more powerful than those in Echo Mountains. At first, I didn't even dare to provoke them, but as time went by, I discovered that this dangerous place had become the best place to hone my skills. Once, I encountered a level 5 black armored giant bear. Its power is terrifying. Normal attacks cannot break through the defense. This is the first time I've used all my strength. Dragon and Tiger Tai Chi. This is a new fighting style that I created by combining the Tai Chi philosophy from my previous life with my own combat experience. Use softness to overcome hardness. Leverage external forces. Then, the burst of energy is completed using composite energy. The black armored giant bear launched a series of attacks. Each time, it carries enough power to shatter rocks. But I didn't try to tough it out. I kept releasing the pressure. Find its flaws. Final. I seized the opportunity. Lightning erupted. It pierced through its defenses in one strike. After the battle, I sat on the ground, panting heavily, but a smile appeared on his face. Because I know, I've become stronger again. During this time living in the deep forest, I keep challenging stronger and stronger monsters. Continuously improve Dragon Tiger Tai Chi. They are also constantly improving their power system. 6 months later, my skills have finally reached a breakthrough. The 12 meridians in the body gradually become connected. The 8 extraordinary meridians also began to operate. The composite energy becomes more stable. That day, I stand on the edge of a cliff, feel the surging power within my body. I know, I have entered a completely new realm, Grandmaster realm. At the same time, I also mastered a new secret technique. Lightning erupted. It can release the composite energy completely in a short time, although the consumption is huge. But the power it unleashed far exceeded that of ordinary martial arts techniques. Me now, even when facing a level 6 monster, they also have the strength to fight. Just as I was preparing to continue searching for an exit, I encountered an adventure team. 7 people. They are being chased by a giant monster. That was a level 6 Thunder Prison War Bear. His entire body was covered in lightning. The ground vibrates with every step. The adventurers had clearly reached their limit. The leader was a middle-aged man. He gripped his long sword and stood at the very front of the group. Everyone retreat. I'll hold it off. However, his strength was simply insufficient to stop a level 6 magical beast. Just as the Thunder Prison War Bear was preparing to launch its attack, I made my move. Thunder light steps. His body transformed into a streak of lightning. It appeared in front of the war bear in an instant. Everyone was stunned. They clearly hadn't expected this. A teenager will suddenly appear. Thunder Prison War Bear roared. A huge claw slammed down. I didn't dodge. The Dragon and Tiger Tai Chi symbol unfolds. Leverage resources. Turn around. Dissipate the power. Then, lightning erupted. Boom! A terrifying power of thunder was released instantly. Thunder Prison War Bear was knocked back. The entire adventure team was stunned. After the battle, the leading man walked up to me. Young people, may I have your name? Jiangchuan. The man paused for a moment. Then he laughed and said, I am Stein. You saved us. If you don't mind, you can come with us to Rust City. Everything you want to know is there. I hesitated for a moment. Finally, he nodded. Because I also need to understand. How many secrets does this world still hold? Along the way, Stein explained the continental layout to me. Human kingdom, orc tribe, fairy forest, dwarf city. This world is far larger than I imagined. After arriving in Rus, this was the first time I had ever truly come into contact with the various ethnic groups on the mainland. There are merchants here, adventurer, magician, warrior, various races live together. I began to systematically learn about magic. It was there too. I learned a name, Master Tian Shu, an extremely rare talent for mages. Ordinary mages need to actively absorb the magical power of heaven and earth. And Master Tian Shu, it allows the magical power of heaven and earth to directly enter the spiritual sea through the entrance. His cultivation speed far exceeds that of ordinary mages. I finally understand. Why is my mental strength growing so terrifyingly? Turn out to be. My path has been different from the very beginning. One day, I wandered around Russo. I stumbled upon a giant stone statue. That's a statue of the goddess Ruth. According to legend, she was once one of the most powerful beings on the continent. When my hand touched the stone statue, the whole world began to change. The next moment, my consciousness was sucked into an unfamiliar space. There, I saw two figures, an old man, a woman. They were looking at me, he said slowly. Finally, someone has come here, I asked cautiously. Who are you? The old man smiled. I am Gray, the former god of law, the woman said. I am Ruth. This is the space where we leave behind our legacy. My heart suddenly trembled. God of law. That was a legendary existence across the entire continent. Gray looked at me. Your power is special, warrior, master. There is another power that we have never seen before, Ruth said softly. However, you are not yet ready to receive the true inheritance. Waiting for you to break through to the legendary realm, we will impart to you the three powers of spirit, space, and time. I took a deep breath. I finally understand. My journey has only just begun. After leaving the secret realm, I stood on the street of Russo, looking into the distance. The image of Ovi appeared in my mind. I wonder how she is now. I wonder if Lex is still trying to catch up with me. But I believe, someday, we will meet again. At that time, I now possess the power to change the fate of the entire continent.